Hi, this is Radiance Thompson, spiritual mentor and intuitive healer, and welcome to day 5 of the Fearless Challenge. So, here's the one thing that scares me, and it also scares my clients. Although my clients may benefit from me being intuitive, there's times where it absolutely scares me. It scares the bejesus out of me. When I'm shown glimpses of my clients' lives and they realize that they are where they are in life because of whatever happened in their past, or when I find certain perspectives that have been grounded into their energy field and how those perspectives have cultivated their way of being in this current reality in their present moment, or when I see things in dreams that come to existence and I share that with people and I've seen my dreams confirmed. It's frightening at times, and it's frightening to know that the gifts I've gotten from my feminine lineage, because I ultimately got my intuitive gifts from my mother's side of the family, that have helped me and my clients gain higher self awareness and higher levels of consciousness. It is absolutely terrifying. I've used this gift to help over 100 people in 5 continents, and yet there's still days where I'm like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. So why am I saying that? When clients see that the wholeness that they're searching for can be reclaimed through some of the gifts that I have used in our containers, when they choose when they choose higher level thoughts and when they choose higher level emotions, and when they consciously make sure that their brain consumes evidence from their environment that supports their desires, it absolutely changes their lives. And it is scary. And it is scary when you're finally starting to see that you can be that person, because now you're wondering if you can hold that frequency, if you can maintain it. So, how do I help them move through this? I help them choose the frequency of faith over the frequency of fear. And when they realize that, hey, I can be this person, this new person that is staring back at me, the person that they've always been, the soul always knew that they were capable of being this person, they realize, hey, my gifts are needed. My gifts can be shared. The world does see and need my gifts. And in spite of the fear that they experience from this, and in spite of the discomfort that they experience, they move through it with the tools that I give them. If you watch some of the videos that I've talked about before, I talk about unity consciousness. I talk about utilizing all things so that they can be capable of all things. So I have many clients that say they have so many gifts, and yet they haven't fully embodied the power of those gifts. They believe that their gifts are gifts, yes. They believe that they have value. They believe that they have a purpose, yet they still sometimes have an issue with sharing their gifts in their fullest capacity. So when my clients start to feel disempowered about their gifts, one of the things that I remind them that Marianne Williamson says, and she is the author of The Shadow Effect, one of the main authors of The Shadow Effect, she says, when you want to find your power, use your power for someone else who has none. So when you're feeling disempowered about your gifts and when you use your power for service, that's when you feel empowered again. That's when your gifts matter again. That's when you start to see that they matter. And that's when you know with absolute certainty that your gifts are meant to be shared and for you to shine your light in this world. Now, I also want you to know that there is a difference between believing and knowing in your gifts. And I know sometimes we use that word interchangeably, believe and know. However, you don't believe your first name is whatever it is. You know your first name is what it is. So when you start to know that your gifts with absolute certainty are valuable, instead of even just believing with that teeter-totter energy that belief sometimes carries, that's when you start taking more action. Because action breeds confidence, and confidence is actually the act of confiding in yourself. And as you confide in yourself through intentional action, that's when you start to trust more in yourself, and the trust in your ability to use your gifts for others grows. So, by showing your brain through direct evidence from your environment that your gifts are helping others, it creates trust, empowerment in your gifts, and they start to solidify into matter, into this reality. So you may be suppressing revealing your gifts to the world because you still may need to overcome shame, guilt, rejection. Perhaps you experienced sharing your gifts with people that you love, and unfortunately, they weren't well received. Perhaps you're holding on to memories of that failed sharing moment. Perhaps if you're a business owner, you're holding on to memories of a failed launch. When this happens, the heart and brain and emotions re-experience those lower frequency thoughts and emotions from past experiences. And this sets off your brain's alarm system, triggering an escape plan. Hence why you need excuses when it's time to share your gifts. You're too tired to write that post. You're too tired to study for that promotion. Yet you're not too tired to watch Married at First Sight on Netflix. Your schedule is too hectic, yet you find time to sit around and do nothing. These are ways of you escaping cultivating your gifts. And this is what happens when you embody the frequency of fear. Your healthy response is blocked and your conscious brain is no longer in control because your unconscious brain is controlled by past memories of rejection, guilt, shame. And this causes a ripple effect with you constantly doing behaviors that self-sabotage yourself to protect yourself from those feelings of shame and guilt and rejection again. So here's what you need to do when this happens. Ask yourself if what you're keeping yourself safe from is actually something that's going to help you in the long run. Have a conversation with your fears because, as Deepak Chopra says, your emotions, which fear comes from, is an energy, and energy deserves a place to exist just like you do. It's a life form. So give that emotion a place to exist. Give it the attention that it needs. Acknowledge it, just like you would like to be acknowledged. And when you do that, prepare your brain for alternative routes. So what do I mean by that? So give your brain the experience and create a visualization of what that alternative route could do for you in potentially in your favor. This allows your brain to create a new neural pathway. And when you start to do those actions in autopilot, you also know, hey, I have an alternative route that is not in autopilot that I can choose to create a new pathway and a new way of acting. Now, when you create this new way of acting, this new way of being, now you've created a new memory. And because the brain does not know the difference between a memory that you've created and reality, it believes it's actually lived that experience. Then you combine that with the emotion of what it would feel like to be in that experience of that alternative route that maybe worked out in your favor. So now you're creating something called brain coherence, where you're choosing elevated thoughts. You're creating heart coherence, where you're choosing elevated emotions. And combination of the heart mind, now you are taking aligned action toward your desired experience. Now you're vibrating higher. And now the lower frequencies of guilt and shame start to dissipate. Now you're making more space to shine your light. Now you're making more space to own your gifts. Know that they're worthy of being seen. Now, if you've watched my previous videos, you know that I talk a lot about the unifying the concepts of science, spirituality, and religion to truly create unity consciousness, unifying yourself, healing from the past so you can own your light, shine your light, own your gifts, and truly activate and be in your highest potential in this lifetime. So thank you so much for watching this video. This is Radiance Thompson, spiritual mentor and intuitive healer. If you would like more information about how to work with me, say heal in the comments. Thank you again. Signing off for Fearless Day 5.